Hello guys, welcome to joint-based facial expression, and this version we're gonna make it game engine compatible, and so that's why I'm doing a new series, and maybe if I have more time I can make it more complete. But let's just start with the basics. I'm gonna go grab a edge loop on the eyebrow, and then go for modify, convert, and polygon edges to curve. Okay, that's gonna give me a curve. Now the next step is very important: delete the history. If you don't do that, you will have a lot of trouble in the future, so just make sure that you do that. And then we're gonna rebuild this curve. It's gonna be underneath modeling, curves, rebuild, and I'm gonna use 1 as the number of spans. Nothing else has changed, and just apply that, and that's gonna give me just a simpler model. Now just be aware that this curve can be any shape you want it to be. It doesn't have to be exactly like the curve shape before, so you can probably tweak it if you wanted to. And we're just gonna match it with my eyebrow better, and okay, I think I'm happy with it. And I'm just gonna go ahead and rename it, rename this CRV as curve left eyebrow. Alright, then I'm gonna go ahead and create some locators to make them follow the eyebrow. I'm gonna go ahead and do that with create locators and rename this guy locator left eyebrow 0, 1, and Control D twice to have 2 duplications, and Maya will automatically rename those guys. Let me Control G with nothing selected, Control G once, and I'm gonna copy the name from the locator to locator left eyebrow GRP, of course 0, 1 and 0, 2, 3. Alright, and then I'm gonna parent the locator to the group. Alright, so for now those guys are all at the origin, and we're gonna move those guys to the curve. To do so, I'm gonna grab one of the group and then Control select the curve, do rigging, constraint, and motion passes, and attach to motion pass. I'm gonna use the default setting here. Alright, and then apply. Let's do the same thing for the other 2. And that's gonna bring these guys all to the beginning of this curve, like that. Let me actually isolate all these new things. So now these locators will follow the curve on both on deformation and movement of this curve. So they're like gluing on the curve now. And one of the things I'm gonna go change is that I'm gonna actually select all 3 and go to motion pass and break that U value, because now this U value have a animation inputs, and that's gonna be actually changing their location from the beginning of the curve to the end. And as you can see, the U value is changing from 0 to 1 here when I scrub through the animation or the time slider, and I don't really want that, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete selected on that U value, right click, delete selected, and I'm gonna define their position myself. So for the first one, I'm gonna keep it as 0. The second one, I'm gonna change the U value to 0.5, so that's gonna move it to the middle of that curve. And the last one, I'm gonna change that to 1, so that way I'm evenly distributing the 3 locators along the curve. Another thing I don't want to have is the rotation values, so I'm gonna select those rotations and break connection and 0 these guys out so that those guys are straight up and down, because it's easier to animate when their axes are flat. Alright, so now they're still following the curve. They're just not rotating anymore, which can be a good thing or bad thing depending on what kind of animation do you need for the eyebrow, because it's supposed to be simpler, just simple up and down, so I'm not gonna rotate these guys through the curve. Alright, now after this I'm gonna create joints. So skeleton, create joint, I'm gonna holding down V button, just position 3 joints, doesn't matter where they are. Let me grab all 3 and shift P to unparent. And I'm gonna go ahead and rename these guys. So it's gonna be JT left eyebrow 01, and this guy will be 02 and then 03. So 3 new joints. Let me grab all 3 and parent these guys to the head joint. That way they will all fall into a simple hierarchy, and that's what makes it be game engine compatible. And I just need those joints to follow the locators. So what I can do is grab the locator and the joints. I'm gonna do constraint parent and do the same thing for the other guy. Oh, actually I want to match the numbers. So this is 01. I'm gonna grab the joint 01, which is this guy. So constraint parent. I'm gonna do the same thing for the others. So this guy will do 02. Let me make sure that this is from the, yeah, this is correct. So the last one here. Alright, I don't know why this guy is bigger, so I'm gonna go ahead and change the radius to the same as others. Alright, we have 3 joints, and now because of the parent constraint, the locators now are controlling the joints, and because the locator's parent, which is a group of the locator, right, they're being motion path controlled by this curve. So basically this curve is now controlling the joint too. Alright, now it's time to do some skin weighting. I'm gonna grab all 3 joints and shift select the skin, go to skin, add influence, check on lock weights and apply, and then I can go ahead and do the pin skin weighting too, and grab the joints, go to select influence, make sure that you unlock those weighting, and I can give this joint some weighting from the tip of the eyebrow, and this guy will control the middle part of the eyebrow, and you get the last guy here will be controlling here the outside of the eyebrow. Alright, let's go to pen skin weighting again, and I can go back to the head joint, this guy, hold it down control and erase the head joint control on this eyebrow area. Alright, I'm also gonna hold it down shift to smooth this area so that I get smoother transition from the joint, the new joints on the eyebrow. And then I can check my weighting. I can drag this eyebrow curve. The origin or the pivot of this curve is at the origin. I need to move it to where this curve is. It's very easy to do, just center pivot. And I can drag it up and take a look at the weighting. It's not bad. So one thing you can do is you can go animate its curve up and down so that you can pet the weighting with some animation as reference. So let me drag it up. You can see now it's not smooth enough here on the top, so let me do that real quick. And here I have some issue. I'm gonna grab that point, do skin, hammer skin weight to fix that and that and that. And these guys, make sure that you don't select the back vertices. Do the same thing. Okay, pen skin weighting and smooth these guys out. Probably need to use this guy too to smooth that out. Don't really need that guy to do too much. To have something here. I'm wondering if I lost the pressure here. Maybe I lost the pressure sensitivity. That's weird. But yeah, I don't really need that guy to be controlling these guys. So I'm gonna bring these guys to this guy and smooth that out. And the same thing here. Oops. Basically do some skin weighting to make these guys do better. I don't know why I lost the pressure. I'm getting used to that. So, well, if you're using a mouse, you're getting the same result I'm having. You have to change that to add and change your value to 0.05. so that you can gradually tweak these guys like that. If that's what you have to do. And need to smooth these guys out. I don't really want that guy to take over too much on the other side, so let me grab the head and use the head to, you know, bring these guys back. The head doesn't really require to control that part, so let me go to the pins. I'm gonna use replace again, change value to 1, holding down control to erase that. Alright. Let me go through the animation. I have animation there too, which I don't really want it to. Let me go delete that. Okay, so some of the weighting that you wanted to do here, I don't quite like doing skin weighting, but that's just the thing you have to do when you're doing weighting, especially doing rigging, and especially when you're doing joint based. You have to pay a lot of weight. It's just the nature of joint based rigging, so that just be a little bit more patient. Alright, it doesn't have to be perfect yet, you can always refine it. I find that that's actually feels more ease if you can just fix the weighting down the way when you're doing other things and you got tired and you do some weighting. Alright, so let me go ahead and delete the keys I have on this guy. And I need to start creating controllers. So let me start with the overall controller of this eyebrow. I'm going to go ahead and create a circle and call this guy AC as animation control. Eyebrow. I can call it overall or master, whatever you want to call it. And I'm gonna also create a locator for it. I'm gonna call it locator eyebrow master. I also need to have L here to indicate that it's down the left side. And for the locator, I don't really want to see it, so underneath the attribute editor, I'm gonna open the shape node of this locator. Very important, use the shape node, don't use the translation node. Go underneath the object display and turn off the visibility, and I can parent the controller underneath the locator by middle mouse dragging it on top of that locator and Control G. And I'm gonna name this guy GRP, AC left eyebrow master GRP. And right now they're all at the origin again. I'm gonna hold down V button while selecting the after selecting the top group, holding down V and snap it to, you know, the front of the eyebrow. Drag it out wherever you want to position it. And I'm also gonna grab the vertices and rotate it down like that and make it bigger. Just make the shape looks like the shape of the eyebrow. I can go to component mode. When you change the selection mode to component mode, it's actually gonna prevent you from selecting those joints, which is pretty nice in this case. The shape of the controller is all up to you, so you can do whatever shape you want it to be. A good practice is always make it easier to select, and also the shape makes sense. For example, I'm gonna make it looks like the shape of the eyebrow. Alright, that's my master controller. And right now it's not doing anything, so I need actually to make it control something. Now I'm not going to make it just control the curve this way, because we all know that the eyebrow is not just moving up and down like this, right? It needs some deformation. So I'm gonna actually use blend shape for that. So let me open shape editor. Oops. And I'm gonna grab this curve. Very important, the blend shape is on the curve, not on the geometry. Okay, create blend shape. I'm gonna call this guy left eyebrow blend shapes, and add a new target. I'm gonna call this guy left eyebrow blend shape up. And for this, I'm gonna grab the vertices and just basically drag them up. go to component modes and drag the front up more and maybe the back down a little bit so that it looks like the eyebrow is raising and changing shape down the way too. Alright, so that's the eyebrow up, and let me zero that out, add a new target. This is going to be the eyebrow down, and I'm going to drag the guys down, maybe scale them to make them flat, and drag them in different ways so that the eyebrow down looks decent. And sometimes it's not because of the shape of the curve, it's the weighting, like this tip one is controlling too much. So I can go to pen scan weighting and grab this guy. We make this guy to control just a little bit more by using add, and the value should be 0.02, just gradually add some weighting back to that guy. Alright, so I'm happy with the down. Maybe, of course, you can spend more time on it if you wanted to. It's basically pretty straight on my rig, but you can do other shapes depending on the character you're doing. Okay, I think that's probably too much, but I'm gonna keep this. Alright, so for the down and up, now they're all being created. All I have to do is somehow using my master controller to control them. A obvious way is using set driven keys, so let me do that. Animation, key set driven key set. My driver will be the curve, the driven one will be the the driver will be the controller, the driven one will be the curve. And I'm gonna use, not this curve, sorry, the blend shape. So select blend shape node and load driven. Translate Y will drive both. Okay, it and go change translate Y, move it up, probably 1 unit or 2 unit, and I'm gonna change the eyebrow up to 1 and only key the eyebrow up. Alright, let me drag it down and maybe a -2. I'm gonna drag the eyebrow down then, or drag the eyebrow down by changing the eyebrow down blend shape up and key the eyebrow down. Alright, now I have down the key and you can see everything is working already. But you can see some delays when I drag things around. The reason for that is because of the set driven key have easy in and easy out. So let me grab the blend shape by right click on that and maybe select it here. I don't think I can do that. So let me do it here then. Select, or you can do that in the shape editor, right click, select blend shape node, and I can go to the window, animation editors, graph editor, and grab all the keys and make it flat. Alright. Another thing you can do is you can grab this animation, go to curve, post infinity, cycle with offset, and grab the other guy and grab all the keys, go to curve, pre-infinity, cycle with offset. So this is just enabling the blend shape to keep going, although that's gonna be too much, but I'm gonna give the animation the judgment of how far they want to push it, not me, so that I'm not gonna limit it to just one here. Alright, so that's basically the overall control. Okay, so let me go ahead and do the smaller controls. Smaller controls will be controllers that controls the locators up and down, so that I can control different portions basically of the eyebrow. And you can do any shape for that. I'm gonna go create nervous spheres for that, and name this guy AC left eyebrow 01. And again, I need the locators again. Now this locators is something used to make things easier to be extended with more possibilities or variations or functionalities, so you can have that or not, but for now I'm just gonna leave it there in case I need to do something. It's always a good idea to have this middle parent of the controller that you're actually using to give you the extra option to offset it later on if you wanted to. So I'm gonna call this locator left eyebrow 0, 1, and parent my controller to the locator and group that. I'm gonna name this guy GRP 0, 1, and duplicate it twice, and probably need to rename these guys 0, 2, 0, 2, and 0, 3, and 0, 3. Alright, and I have 3 new controllers. Again, they're all at the origin, so I'm gonna move those guys to the locators. A easier way will be just match transformation on the locator. So let's do that. Modify, match transformations, match all transform. Let's do that on the other 2 locators. And let me grab all 3, isolate these guys, go to component mode, and I'm gonna actually, scale them in. Oh, it's actually not a very easy thing to do here, so I'm gonna do that and drag it out, and do the same thing here. Oops, don't really need that. Drag it out just to move them to wherever that is proper or easier to select. Alright, so I have 3 controllers, and let me go open the hierarchy, and I'm also going to add those locators by going to the shape node and turn off visibility on all 3 locators so I don't have to see them. Alright, so eventually to make the controller to control the actual locator there, I just need to go use connections. Let me clear the graph and drag in there, and that's the controller. And let me also grab the locator and drag it in. That's the translation of the locator. I'm just gonna connect all the transform so that I'm able to use this to move, scale. Actually, I cannot scale because that guy doesn't have scale constraint, which we can actually. Let's do that. We can use this locator and shift select the joints. We can do another constraint, scale constraint, just to make the scale also work. Oops, that's the wrong constraint. Sorry about that. Don't really need to constrain the controller. It's the locator again to the joint. That's what's happening here. Alright, so now my controller should be also scaling this part. Some bad weighting there. Anyway, so let's do the same thing on the other side, on the other controllers. So all I have to do is bring the controller and the locator in, and I'm just connect the translate and rotate and scale so that I can control these guys. Let me do the last guy here. Right, clear the graph and these guys, and eyebrow controller to eyebrow locator, translate, rotate, and scale. And basically that's how you create those controls. Now they're able to control different parts of the eyebrow now, and you can use the global control to drag things up and down, and these guys are still working, but they're apparently not moving with the master mover or this guy here. So a easier solution will be just grab all the groups of the new controllers and parent these groups to the overall control of the eyebrow, and everything moves. So let me drag it up. See now, everything basically works. Alright, so that's probably the easiest way to do joint-based rigging on the eyebrow, and I hope this works for you too. Again, for the assignment, you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Make sure that you have good weighting. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix some of the weighting I have there. I don't really want that guy to control that part, so I'm gonna use the head joint to take that back. Alright, cool. So that's gonna be it for our first joint-based facial expression class. See you next time.